Hi, it's Stacy with Bridges 52.7. I want to take a few minutes to talk about Minecraft as we kind of draw connections between faith and culture. Full disclosure, I really don't have any experience with the game. So I'm coming into this movie as a total newbie, and all I have is the movie to go off of. I don't have any of the history behind the game, any experience with what the game is. So for one, people might enjoy it better if they actually understood the game and kind of understood the rules of the world that the movie is. But it also was, I think, helps for you to know that you can come into this movie with zero history and still have some things to take away. So that being said, there's a lot of little sound bites. I'm going to, excuse me, try to keep this pretty quick. There's a lot of things that you can pull from in the sound bites without a lot of gymnastics. But let me just focus on two main things that kind of stood out to me. One is there's a guy called the Garbage Man, and he goes looking in estate sales or whatever when there's and this is the thing, storage units, when somebody forfeits on them, they'll auction off and people can pay money to get whatever's inside, and you really don't know what's inside, so you're just gambling. You may have a general idea, but and they do these auctions. So he's auctioning off of basically other people's trash, hoping to find treasure in it. And at one point, somebody points out to him that he's so busy looking for treasure inside of other things, but he doesn't see it in himself. And so there's several ways to look at that. But I think for me, the thing that stood out was just this idea that the Lord, so often we have felt that we have been discarded. There are people around us that people have given up on, but the Lord always sees treasure in us. And so no matter what your history may be or how much you may be like him, not seeing the value in yourself, the Lord always sees treasure in his creation. And so I kind of loved that metaphor and think it gives a great opportunity to talk with, if you're seeing it with your kids or even yourself, but whatever the groups you may be around, but especially as I think about parents going to see this movie with their kids, to have these conversations of saying, hey, do you feel are you struggling to see the treasure in yourself? Do you feel like other people don't see your value, but knowing that the Lord does? Also, who are the people in your world, other kids in your class or whatever, that are on the bottom of the totem pole, so to speak, that maybe other people haven't seen the treasure in? And let's pray and ask the Lord to give us a sense of their value and to show us what God has put inside of them, so that you can speak to that treasure inside of them, so that you can help call that out. So that we are supposed to be those people who call out and find the value hidden in the treasure. In the chaos of every person's life. That's our job as believers, to go in and do that for other people. So I love that kind of application. The other one that this whole deal is about, Minecraft is about creating. You get to create worlds. Anything you can imagine, you can kind of create it in this game. And then there's this kind of enemy in there that their only really ability is to destroy the things you've created. And so there's this battle over the world, over who's going to have control, the creative force or the destructive force. And they even make a comment that it's harder to create than it is to destroy. But that is the power that, first off, the Lord's first act obviously was to create a world. And then this game kind of capitalizes on that idea and saying you get to also create a world. And as we are made in God's image, and we have all throughout history of the Bible, you see the Lord putting his people in a space and asking them to take an idea of heaven, whether it was the Garden of Eden or when Jesus came, it was heaven on earth. And in between you have Israel, and they're given a promised land, but all throughout they're given this idea to cultivate heaven on earth and then to expand it and to keep creating your idea of heaven on this earth and to make things better. And so really, this is such a kingdom idea that plays out in the game and in the movie. So those are my ideas. And let me just say on that, again, if you're looking at ways to even apply this better with your kids or even yourself as you want to challenge yourself, I heard someone say that his entire missional outlook, he founded all kinds of ministry stuff. And the only question he asked himself was, if it was on earth as it was in heaven, what would be different? If this was heaven right now, what would be different than what I'm seeing? And he would look at some of the problems they were facing and go, okay, well, that would be different. This wouldn't be that way. And the next thing you know, he knew exactly next steps to take. He was working with a group of people that lived in a swamp, and he was like, well, in heaven they would have dry streets. So he started irrigating and changing the landscape until they had dry streets, and little by little until their whole world was transformed because he asked one question. So I love this, that if we took the idea of Minecraft and said, okay, if you could take anything in the world and create it on earth to make it more like heaven, what would it be in your mind? And then to start going, okay, what's one little problem I can solve to make it more like heaven on earth? Because that is our commission as believers, is to make it on earth as it is in heaven. So really practical applications, lots of easy little access points to the gospel. So full disclosure, wasn't my favorite kind of movie, but I also came away kind of jazzed because I love when they have like such great applications. So all right, that's what I got for today. I hope that helps you to take your entertainment and make it richer, and bring your faith more, like to put flesh on it in any way.